Once again, my friends, hello everybody. My name is B. Frank, and this is another episode of Servitude Tales from the Weeds. Welcome back, everybody. My name is Brian, and this is Servitude Tales from the Weeds. I have over 12 years experience working in restaurants, mostly as a bartender, sometimes as a server, sometimes as a busser. Servitude Tales from the Weeds is our noble attempt to instill a sense of camaraderie between food service workers and service workers in general, and also to instill a little bit of empathy in customers and guests in dining establishments. I have a very special guest today. He has a lot of experience doing restaurant work, has seen a lot. Here is my good friend, Christopher Morrison. What up, Chris?
Hello,
How you doing?
hello. I'm good. Brian, how you doing?
Well, welcome to the show, the podcast. How many years experience do you have in restaurants?
In restaurants and kitchens since I was probably 15 and a half, where I was legally allowed.
Was your first job in restaurants?
First job was in the kitchen. I was a cook at a pizza place. I learned how to toss dough, and then I did that pretty much through like high school and through college. And then when I graduated college, I got into the front of the house and started bussing, serving. And I've done that for the past 12 and a half years now. So I've done bussed, food ran, expo, served, managed, bartended.
So you're a journeyman within the walls of the restaurant building.
From fine dining to diners to bowling alleys. Yeah, a lot of different types of clientele and types of food and service styles. Yeah.
So this pizza joint that you worked in the kitchen, was it a full service restaurant or was it mostly carry out?
When I was there, it was strictly a delivery and pickup. Now it's been completely, they have slices in the front dining room area, and I'm like, wow, this place is nice now. Yeah, before it was crazy. They had, like the back, they had all the delivery drivers coming in and out, and that was pre Uber and Uber Eats and stuff. So I guess that's changed probably a lot of like strict. I mean, I'm sure some places still have like their own delivery drivers, but
yeah, Uber Eats and what is it, Grubhub and
yeah,
all of that probably killed the delivery service.
The guys that I was working with, they're like, oh yeah, I've been a delivery driver for 7 years. Like I'm like, wow, I guess there's maybe Uber Eats people now. Or
so working in a pizza place like that, of course, you're not even hardly dealing with walk-up customers.
Not so much. More of the back of the house crew, kitchen employees, different age ranges. I think I listened to so much ABBA. Yeah, that was like, I don't know why that was like the cruise album. Like every night in closing, they just like blasted ABBA. I know a lot about ABBA now.
Wow. I worked nights stocking shelves at Target. And all they would play was top 40 radio through the system all night long, which means that you hear the same song at least 8 times a shift. You get to hear what's on pop radio over and over and over again. When I was at bartending school, they would play pop radio. You're there as many hours as it takes for you to get certified. And I happened to be unemployed at the time. So I was there for 6 hours at a time. And if I ever hear Mambo number 5, it reminds me of bartending school.
Awesome.
That was a while.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, everybody.
A little bit of Monica in my life.
Oh, that's great.
So you did that all the way through high school and through college?
Tossing dough.
Bringing home mad pizzas with you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that was the best. I'd get off and, I'd go to a party and I'd just bring pizza. Okay, pizza's here.
Forget beer, forget weed.
I mean, in high school, my buddies, we'd always hang out at the high school parking lot, but there would always be a pizza that somebody would call like 10 minutes before closing and order like 2 large meat eater pepperoni pizzas. Joe Limitlando or some weird name. And then I'll be like, making this pizza. And then
this guy didn't pick it up.
Yeah, this guy didn't pick it up. Like, I guess I'll take it. And I'd take it to the parking lot. Like, what's this? You you assholes. They're like, yeah. I'm like, God damn it.
Was that your hangout spot? Was a parking lot?
Yeah, that was it until we would get kicked out from the police showing up. Let's meet at the high school parking lot. Or then we'd go, or like, well, we go down to the beach and then we'd hang out there. Yeah, I just kind of move from place to place until it was time to go home.
So I don't know who would find these. This is getting way off subject, but I don't know who would find these. But like in high school, college, we'd find a spot in the woods off of the road just to go low risk that somebody's going to bother us.
Yeah,
drink cheap beer and talk trash.
It's probably a bit smarter than the school parking lot in which you go to.
But speaking of pizzas that somebody didn't come and pick up, that was how it was at the bar. All of the restaurants that I worked, it's getting towards the end of the shift, and oh man, the server forgot that this guy ordered a citron and soda. Oh, did he? Oh, okay. Well, I guess I better make one then and leave it up there on the server's station. And then I don't know, nobody picked it up. Oh, well, you can't waste that.
Definitely been in the places of where that was more feasible and okay. Nowadays, there's so many, all the bars and restaurants have cameras. When I was younger, there wasn't they didn't have cameras behind the bar really, unless it was.
Yeah, they had cameras pointing at the register and the front door, and that was pretty much about it.
Now they got like it's like
every angle
of the restaurant is completely covered. At my job a few weeks ago, somebody like broke into this like side door of the kitchen. They stole all of the registers.
The whole register?
Like the registers that are like underneath the till, and that's it. You don't leave the money in the register at the end of the night. They put it in the safe. They stole 4 empty registers. They left the iPads sitting there. None of the bottles on the wall were touched.
Yeah, take the expensive cognac, pal. Take the Cristal.
Yeah. It was all sitting there, and we were like, it was on camera too. It sparked. It set the alarm off, but obviously they were just looking for cash and not $300 bottle of top shelf that they could have just been like, all right, I'm gonna grab this too, and let's have this while we open up these empty tills.
Amateurs.
What were they thinking? Like, did they case the place like, oh, that's where they keep all the money?
Live and learn. It was the starter kit.
Yeah, I guess.
We had 2 security guys at one of my restaurants, and I knew which way the cameras were pointing. This is before the dome that's like the 360 camera.
Yeah.
Like the casino cameras, but they had cameras pointing. You can look at them. You can see where they're pointing. These guys, after closing, and they're the only ones in the building, they'd steal the lobsters out of the kitchen. So I don't know
live
if they were
lobsters.
No, I'm sure they were dead and refrigerated or something.
Okay. Just like a live
No, there's a live lobsters. But no, they'd steal the lobsters.
Larry running out with a live lobster again.
Yeah, they got caught. They didn't even get fired. I couldn't even believe it. I was like, what do you have to do to get fired from this place? And by my experience there, I worked there for a number of years. The only way you could get fired is by not showing up for work. People come in here drunk, get hit by doors, they drop their stuff, they're visibly drunk, they steal things, they don't do their job. That's fine. The only people I ever saw get fired were people who didn't show up.
Not showing up, or if they catch you stealing cash.
Like right in front of you.
Yeah, if you're stealing cash from them, they're going to be like, all right, you can't do that. Like, just working in places that also like you were saying, like that place had like a door guy or a bouncer, worked at a place that's had it and places that haven't had it. One of them was like more of a late night place. It was a like a 24-hour diner. That was like one of my first serving jobs, where I was working 11 at night to 6 in the morning, right downtown, popular place, bunch of bars. So like the bars will get out at 2, and then there'd be a line down the block at this diner. We had to have a bouncer because everybody is hammered.
Because everybody's drunk, yeah.
Yeah.
Passing out. If they're not passing out, they're fighting somebody.
Totally. There was fights and people, you'd go around and be like, yo, man, can't be falling asleep in here. You got to eat or go.
We got to turn it over, yeah.
People trying to leave and not pay their tabs.
Mm-hmm.
People so drunk. Some dude just like, oh my god, that is the best pen. I was like, can I have that? I was like, no man, this is like my only pen. Like I can't. He's like, I'll give you $20 right now. I was like, sold. Go ahead and take my pen. It was just like a regular pen. I had a bunch more behind the bar. I just didn't want to deal with this guy. I was like, all right, you want to give me $20 cash for this pen? Go right ahead. That pen is yours now.
Yeah, and in the morning he's going, "Whose pen is this? And where's my $20?"
That was a play.
Yeah, you ever like during business hours have someone come in who's drunk and want to be served? Like you didn't overserve them, but they clearly came in toasted already and want a drink.
Dude, this happened last night. I had this couple come in,
You're just having a good time. Yeah.
Having a good time. And I could tell, I was like, oh, they've been out. Like they didn't seem super intoxicated, but I'm like, oh, they've been out. They've probably
they didn't crawl in or anything.
It was a later. I was like, they probably had dinner. They're on their way or walk home or whatever. And they shared one of our boozier drinks that was only allowed 2 per person because they're boozy. They got another cocktail and then they shared that one. And then I could start to see that the dude was like starting to get a little eyes glossy and like they were talking, having a conversation.
Liquidy.
Yeah, and then there was just like he was like looking at the menu and then he just ordered them 2 more cocktails. Okay. I was like, that's 1.5. What's 1.5 each? It's not bad. Maybe two drinks per, if I'm really, doing the math of the things right. They had that. I'm pretty sure he just chugged him. Like they drank those 2 cocktails with, I would say, less than 2 minutes. Like,
oh dear,
they were in the coop.
It was like it was their job,
or he just like he hit that point where he just like clicked and he didn't even know he was drinking anymore, and he was just like,
and
just finished it. And the dude I was like, all right, they're done. Here's a couple waters in case you guys, want something a little more refreshing in that aspect. Like, oh, thanks, whatever. He just gets up and walks out, and she's still sitting there. Like she's like looking at him and like, and I was like, I guess it's time to go.
Check.
She's like, she's like, I guess so. Yeah, I'll close out with you. And like, I was like, is he going outside to yak? Or like, what is he doing? And she just like closed out and like took a sip of her water and like just left. And I was like, I went outside to see if and puked up. No, they were just gone. I was like, yeah, he just like hit the point of go home.
Yep.
Or like
pillow.
Yep. It was not expecting that. It was at the point where I was like, if they were gonna try to get another one, I would have been like, why don't you drink some water for a little bit or maybe get some food? And that's always a tough conversation to have. When we're cutting you off, not saying you can't handle it, whatever on you.
Not a personal affront on you.
We are licensed. Where I'm at right now, I have to get a food handling serving license where I have to take a class, and I have to get a liquor license to serve liquor to people, where I have to know what type of IDs are legal. I have to know when to say no and cut somebody off because I'm responsible. If you are drinking at my establishment and you go out and you fall into the road and get hit by a car, that's coming back to me and where I work.
Or if you kill somebody.
Yeah. Or if they get behind a wheel. Oh, you're walking home. It's still, you're walking home super inebriated. I don't know what's going to happen between A and B. You want to try to go somewhere else? Go ahead. But I'm done serving you. You have that right as a bartender and a server to refuse or whatever, anybody, And that's always a conversation you have with like the manager on duty. But sometimes the manager's like, you are that sort of person. And you're like, okay, well, I have to make this decision. It's nothing personal.
Yeah, we're personally liable. I told somebody they weren't 21 yet. They had like 3 weeks to go. And I carded them and they weren't like, wait a minute, you're not 21 yet. And she thought it was like close enough or something, and I explained to her very, very politely, this isn't a game. I get it. I remember all of that. Yeah, you want to get served at a bar, and you have your friends who are like angry at me or whatever. But I said, if I get caught serving someone underage, or God forbid you get drunk and go and do something that's going to harm somebody else, I said, I go to jail.
Yeah.
I want you to have a good time. I don't want to go to jail doing it.
it's frustrating, sometimes. I mean, the other day, this group of people came in and one of them didn't have a legal form of identification. It was
What
like
did
out
they
of the
have? What did
country.
they hand you?
It was an out of the country driver's license,
Oh, okay.
and I'm like, hey man, I know you're 21. Obviously you're in your 40s. You got a kid with you,
Mm-hmm.
but we have to have legally to serve you alcohol. We have to have a form of ID. If you have your passport, great. Can I show you a picture? No. Like some places are more strict than others, right? Like
So the place where you work, you card everybody.
Yes.
If this guy's 40, then it wasn't like a judgment call. You didn't have the we ID over 39
and
or under 39.
And there's a lot of kids there, and it's like we have to card everybody at this place, and that's the management and owners. We'll card you if you're 60. Like that's just how it is. Liquor boards, they drop in, and if we know that they're doing checks around your area, we might need to be more strict, because if they come in and you're drinking a beer, they can go up to you and be like, can I see your ID? And if you were like, I don't have my ID, or I don't have a legal ID on me, and they're drinking in your establishment and you served them, we'll get fined. We'll get in trouble, which is crazy. Like, you don't understand that, like I've said that, I had to go up to that group because like he didn't have his ID. His girlfriend was giving him her beer.
Yeah.
And I saw it.
Oh, I hate it when people do that crap.
And I saw it. I'm like, we're not blind, yo. And I went up and I said, hey, please don't. Like, or just go run home and go grab your passport. If you really want to drink that bad, do that. And also, this person over here is drinking beer from the pitcher out of a water cup. You got to go show your ID at the bar to go get a pint glass. Oh, I didn't know. No, you do know. There's 7 people in your group who all have pint glasses, and they all had to do the same thing. So don't make me babysit you.
Yeah, don't put me in this position.
You're an adult.
Yeah,
you're an adult. I'm sorry.
I hate having to babysit people. Like I said, this is not a game, man. And the thing is that I get it. I've been on the other side. When I was 24, I still looked like I was 17. And I've got a perfectly legal ID, and people don't even want to believe me. It's right here. You're completely not liable, except I look like I'm 17 and I weigh about 120 pounds. I get it, but it's still the law. Somebody's trying to take his girlfriend out and she forgot her ID. Okay, well, we have some nice non-alcoholic beverages for you. Then they're over at their table and she's drinking out of his cup. Now I got to go and be the asshole.
My favorite thing is, oh, well, I don't have my ID, but I'm not drinking. So let me build this. So you walked in here, right? And you sat down. let me set the scene for you. So say you walk up to like a nightclub or a bar that has a doorman, and you have to show your ID to get in. And you're like, oh, but I'm not drinking. Can I still come in? They'd be like, no, you have no legal identification on you. I'm not letting you in here. So when you come into the restaurant or a bar that's 21 and up, and you sit there and you're like, oh, well, I'm not drinking. I'm like, well, you're not allowed to be in here if you don't have your ID.
There's these restaurants out here that I know that you're aware of. What crud? What's the name of the place with the laughing skull? It's not called the Laughing Skull. But
anyway, they have the bar upstairs?
Yeah, but they have a security at the front door that cards everybody when you go in there. It's like no kids are allowed, even, and it's a restaurant. Well, we just want a burger. Well, no. this whole place is a bar. I don't know if it's a license thing or if it's just a liability thing, but they don't allow anybody in there who's under 21. At least.
Well, something that I was like,
daytime or something.
I was looking at some laws is like you have to have like a divider from your bar to seating. It could be pretty much just like a bar like this. There's usually like some divider from the bar, which is just like a little pole or something. Yeah. And that's like legally what they have to differentiate the bar area from the restaurant area. But if they didn't have that in their schematics, or they didn't have enough room to build that, then the whole area is a bar. So it has to be 21 and up. They probably wanted it to maybe be able to have kids and stuff, but that's not what was feasible.
I think it's because we had a lot of foreigner servers who didn't really know how it worked in probably didn't care. They just wanted to get the cash.
Sure.
But for some reason, I think word got out in the Orthodox Jewish community that people were able to get drinks there. So we'd get a lot of the black hats who want to get served, and they were like college age. I had this couple come up, and you know I'm talking about, like all black covering everything, you know. And the guy comes up to the bar and he says, "Hey, what's a good drink to toast with?" And I said, "Champagne." He says, "Oh, well, what about scotch?" I said, "If you're with a bunch of guys that closed a deal, I guess so." You know, it's like, "Okay, well, give us 2 scotches on the rocks." "Okay, can I see your IDs?" And the answer is always, "What? Can I see your IDs, please?" "Sure." And I go to grab the scotch and the glasses, you know, and come back and he shows me his ID. "Oh, all right. May I see her ID?" "Come on, man. We just got engaged. We just got engaged right out there. We're toasting." "Yeah, you can get engaged at 17. You have to be 21 to drink here." And then it turns into a problem.
Right.
And he's popping off as he's walking away. And I was just, you know, this is LA. You can probably find a place that's going to serve you. It just didn't work here. You know, it's just, that's how this is going to work. That's how I'm going to serve you scotch to toast. First of all, you're asking me questions that just screams that you're an amateur drinker. So, you know, I was like, why didn't you just take the champagne idea? You know, I was like, I'm not going to fall for it then either. Come on, act the part, man. This is Hollywood.
Yeah, we talk, I mean, as bartenders and servers, like we go through hundreds of all types of interactions and people every day. So we've been through them all, especially when you've been in the industry as long as that. It's like
there's a progression, you know, like when you're first starting out, you know, you don't want to cause any problems. You might be naive enough to, well, he's got a beard and, you know, I heard him talking about, you know, being a law intern or something. But after a while, you just don't care anymore.
I mean, it's crazy now. I mean, like, I know I'm not, you know, super old, but neither are you.
Thanks.
It's like when I'm checking IDs now, and it's like, oh my God.
There's not even a 19 in it. Yeah.
No. It's 2003.
Today's date, 2003.
Crazy.
Tells you when we recorded this. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny, like when I see those parties and I'm like, like, oh yeah, like those are like me and my friends, like that's like my age group. And then I go, I'm like, oh, I guess I gotta see everybody's ID, and I'm like, oh my God, no, you're 10 years younger than me.
Yeah, it got to the point where I was carding like 32-year-olds. I got older and everybody just looked like children to me. Like, this is what it's like being like somebody's uncle who can't remember that you don't want a telescope for Christmas because you were interested in that when you were 7 and you're 13 now. Everybody looks like a kid.
Getting old and jaded.
Getting old and jaded. It's funny because the older I get, the more I say the more efficient I am with my energy. Some people might call it cynical, but I just don't have time to sit here and play these bullshit games anymore.
No.
As a bartender or otherwise. One guy came up with his date and carded her, and she had ID, and carded him, and he gave me a bank card. The bank card had the photo in the corner, and I said, "What's this?" He goes, "That's my ID." I said, "No, I need a state issued ID." He goes, "That is a state issued ID." Can anybody tell me when the state of credit union was inaugurated into the United States? No, I can't accept this ID. I need a driver's license, a passport, a state issued photo ID. And then he goes off moping. I'm not even policing. I'm just minding my own business. But I see them sitting at the lounge table, and he's got the drink in front of him. "Hi, how's everything going?" "Good. Did you find that ID yet?" "Okay, can't have that drink in front of you then." And now I'm the dick. And they ended up just getting up and leaving. I was just, you know what? Sure. Okay, fine.
My dad joke, whenever I'm out, they ask me for my ID, I pull out my my Blockbuster card. Because like I still have my last Blockbuster card. I'm like, this ages me pretty well, I think. Just
that's awesome.
Me having this. They're like, ah, ha, 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 ha. I'm like, yeah, I know.
Yeah. Piss them off and then order a drink from them. Okay.
I do it quick. I'm also a bartender. That's always great too. And oh yeah, I'm in the industry, trying to get that
Yeah.
little discount. It's like,
I had
oh yeah,
just
going into my
recently I was
shift.
at a sports bar and the guy came and took orders for our table, went around, but he missed me and he went walking off and I went up to him. I said, "Excuse me. Well, you missed me over at the table. Can you put me down for an IPA?" And he's like, "Oh man, I'm really sorry. Are you okay?" And I was like, "No, I'm not mad. You just missed me. That was it. I don't know if my resting face is pissed off or something like that." But he was like,
You scared him.
or maybe it's just young people. I don't know, and I'm older, so I look like a crotchety old bastard. I have no idea. He was like, "Oh, like I was gonna freak out and ask for the manager or something,
My
Yeah.
IPA.
Yeah. Look, man, I was behind the bar for 12 years. Nobody in this building has more empathy for what you're doing than I am. I said, I can see that you don't have 6 tables. You're serving the entire bar and making the drinks. I said, I'm fine. Promise. And so when he came back around and brought me the IPA, he apologized again. I said, it's all right. I was back in town at a sports bar with some old high school friends, and one of them, actually it was her husband, was complaining about how bad the service is here. I'm not, they're not getting anything for a tip. And, I said, man, look around. Clearly they didn't realize that there was a big deal college game on today.
Right.
And you have one server for the entire bar. And we're talking like 30 tables. You want to get mad at somebody? Go talk to the manager for staffing short. They might have tried to call someone in emergency, and there just wasn't anybody. I hadn't drank anything yet. I was going to go and offer them if, I said, look, man, I got some experience behind the bar. You want a busser? This one was so in the weeds that, it didn't even matter anymore. You ever been that busy where you're just, okay, there's no way I'm catching up. And you just kind of let things go. And then you start having a better time.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we got hit pretty good on Valentine's Day this last week. We did a little deal, a couple of drinks and a poo-poo platter for a couple.
Oh, a set menu?
A little bit,
Uh-huh.
but you could still add stuff. We had like pretty much 30 reservations all at once. And it was just me and one other person who were both bartenders, servers and stuff, but it just happened there was no host. I was like trying to host and serve and help it was just, I'm ringing everything in. 16 tickets, just it's all at once.
Uh-huh.
And then like another group of 5 come in and I'm just like, yo, it's gonna be at least a good 30 minutes before I can even ring anything in for you guys. Yeah. I'm sorry. They're like, what? I'm like, look
around, pal.
Look. Yeah, we had some like regulars who were like, where can I sit? I'm like, well, these are all reservations. They made reservations. Yeah. But what about that table there? Like, there's nobody sitting there. That's a reservation. Well, that's what they reserved. Reservation. Reserve. That's what it means. They have that.
And serve.
Yes. That's my favorite. But what about those? Like those, there's nobody sitting there.
My God, man.
I don't know how much I can articulate this to you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I got to go to work.
It was one of those Valentine's Day, some special event. I don't even know what it was, but we had this GM, this manager, who kept saying that we are the house of yes. We say yes. We don't turn people away. So you end up with 1,000,000 7:00 reservations. You're taking more reservations than we actually have space for right now. No, this is the house of yes. It was like, okay, but they have no place to sit at 7:00. Then they're going to be here until 8:00 because you told them yes. And they're okay to hang out and have a drink, but not for an hour before they get their table. And then even longer, everything just dams up,
Yeah.
There was a table that was waiting so long. I shit you not. They ordered pizza delivery to their table and it came and they ate their pizza and they still didn't get their food. That's how effed up this GM's idea was. Why would you take more reservations than you even have capacity for? That's what's called lying.
Yeah.
And it's not good customer service. That guy wasn't even there. So we're the ones who are stuck taking the heat for it. At that same night, we had mandatory valet too. And these guys had their last cocktail before they go out, whatever, and they leave to go to the valet. I'm in the weeds, 3 or 4 deep. The tape is printing up so much that it's on the ground. Like 45 minutes go by, and these guys come back in and order another shot. I said, "What are you guys doing here?" He goes, "We haven't gotten our car back yet." Okay, so how long is it before that becomes grand theft?
Right.
You're refusing to give me my car back. You can take it up with the management on that kind of thing. It's like, maybe that wasn't such a good idea. Maybe this house of yes to everything isn't such a good idea, because it's not a yes, it's a lie.
No, yeah. I mean, sometimes you just gotta be like, look, we don't have, it's gonna be a while.
Mm-hmm.
And some places are better at that, where it's like there's gonna be a 45-minute wait. But some people are like, no, we don't do waits. If you're busy enough, that's good, right?
Mm-hmm.
You want that sort of that desire to go there, if it has the pull and draw for people to want to go.
Can you believe, like, if you were the Domino's delivery guy who comes up to this other restaurant and comes into the host stand? Yeah, somebody ordered this. What? Yeah, they where's table 2? Well, it's over there. Goes to table 2, delivers the pizza, they pay for it, they're eating pizza. Now other people are envious of you because they haven't gotten their food. Heck, man, I wanted to give them $10 for a slice because I hadn't eaten yet either.
That's crazy.
I know that we had scheduled this for last week, but you were covering someone's shift.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm working. There's me and this other bartender. There's just 2 of us, smaller.
Is your bar a two-well bar?
It's a 2-well bar, but we
Okay.
usually run with one, and we can kind of swap out whenever.
Kind of an overflow.
Yeah, and it was trivia night.
Wednesday.
Yeah.
Why is trivia night always Wednesday?
Because
it's slow.
Nobody wants to go out. Yeah, it's slow.
It's a hump day kind of thing. You go and unwind.
And the other guy comes in and he's like, oh God,
no.
I'm not feeling good. And I'm like, fuck, dude, stay away from me. Like, put a mask on or something. I don't know. Like, I was like, did you go out last night? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, so you're hungover? You're sick? I opened the bar. I'm supposed to be getting off early. It's my Friday, which is middle of the week, right?
Yeah.
I don't have weekends. My weekends are like Wednesday, Thursday, so I don't see friends or family or anything.
Yeah, we're on the opposite end of the curtain. We're on the other side.
Yeah, so I see it coming. I see it coming from a million miles away. Finish trivia, and like I'm talking to the chef, bitching at me about something from this weekend that one of the other servers did. And I'm like, yeah. I talk to him. I turn around, he's there, and he's like, "There's $50. Can you just close for me? I can't breathe." And I'm just like, "Fuck, no, just fucking go home. I don't want your money. Just go home. Take care of yourself, man. I don't want to get sick. I don't want to be covering her ass." And then next day, message from our management like, "Oh, he's out for a week. He's got a doctor's note. He can go get a doctor's note, but he can't wear a mask when he's around me working." Nice. Awesome. Sweet. So then I had to pick up his shifts. I didn't have to, but management was like, "Yeah, we have to cover these shifts. Can you pull one?" I'm like, "Yeah, I guess, I'll make some extra money, but I'll cram everything that I want to do on my days off into one day." And it depends, right? Certain places have better, more employees, or smaller, tight knit. So it's like if one person goes down, then either management is going to have to cover that, or somebody is. There's no working from home in this industry.
Well, that was the thing about shift covering. It's like an unwritten rule that one hand washes the other. Working in LA, Hollywood, somebody has an audition or got booked on something, legit reasons that we were all there for, as writers, musicians, actors, performers, whatever. So if they ask you to cover your shift, whether it's the crap shift or the busy shift, you don't want to, but you do it anyway, because someday you're going to need your shift covered.
100%. I mean, that's kind of what's gotten me through. I learned from early on, always be that guy is like, "Man, we need somebody." I'm like, "I got you." "Oh, we're short." "Sounds good, man. I'll be there for you. I'll cover your ass." Because then when you need it, you go to your manager, you're like, "Dude, I I booked this, or hey
Mhm.
man, I need to really go see my grandparents this weekend. I worked every Sunday this whole football season. I'll work every Sunday. I'll miss every football game. But I want Super Bowl Sunday off.
Mhm.
I just want
Mhm.
that day just to eat wings, hang out with friends, and watch the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So I worked every Sunday and I got Super Bowl Sunday off and I had my good day.
Mhm.
I was hungover as shit for work the next day, but you know what? I showed up and I did my job.
Even if somebody who you don't get along with, still cover each other's shifts. People know the long game on that in the food service industry. Non-restaurant people don't realize is that as servers or bussers or anybody, we're working this because we're trying to do something else.
Right.
You know, GMs aside, bookkeepers, whatever, you know, most of us, this is means so that we can have money to cover our bills, and it allows us the flexibility of time to go and do other things.
And don't get me wrong, I've known some career servers as
Oh,
well,
sure. Yeah.
who've worked at, 5-star places,
Yeah.
pulled doubles who work brunch one place and then nights at a nice Italian restaurant. And they do that for 10 years and they
Yeah. And they
own
make close to six figures a year.
Yeah, 100%. They
Mhm.
got 2 condos in 2 different areas and they love that life.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
There's a
what
lot of that. What I'm talking to is those people who've never been in these trenches and want to take their day out on you because you're a lowly server is just, well, no. I mean, that guy over there is getting his PhD in psychology, and this person over here is just this close to signing a contract with Interscope, and so on and so forth.
Right.
But there's something about human psychology where you just don't want to think that far. Just come down on you. It's like, how hard is your job? I'm like, well, if you worked here, you would know. So all of you out there, most of us are trying to do other things, trying to chase a dream or a career or an education or something.
Yeah, my buddy was like, I was telling him the other day, I was like, oh man, it's cranked out. Nice little 9-10 hour shift.
Mhm.
It was rough. Like, didn't even get to eat. Like, what? You didn't get a lunch break? I was like,
What's a
no.
lunch break?
I said, I ran through the back and took a bite out of a quesadilla and then got my ass back on the floor. My partner's always like, slow down. Like every time we go out to eat, like stop eating so quickly. It's just it's habit.
Yeah.
My break is.
Yep. Yeah. And we had the
Back out.
The on-site owner, that means the owner's son, who would always just jump up our asses because we go into the bar back room and chomp down some chicken, wash our hands and work some more. I'm tired of you guys doing that. You need to go to the break room to eat. This is not an area for you. It's like, you've never been behind a bar before. I can't get all the way to the break room, eat something, and get back. As soon as somebody runs off to the bathroom, we end up getting hit.
100%.
It's just not reasonable. He's got his policies to deal with, but I'm not going to sue anybody for not getting a break.
No.
I know how this works.
Right. The manager's like, well, can you hop behind the bar and bartend for, 10 minutes? And then the manager's like, I don't know how to bartend. I'm a manager. And you're like,
Right.
Are you a manager? You're supposed to be able to do everything, right?
Yeah. You know how to come here and impress your friends.
I mean, that's some of the best managers I've had who like can jump in the trenches with you. It's like, you're like, I gotta go to the bathroom. Like, dude, I got this. And they go up and they serve somebody and they make 4 drinks and they're chatting with somebody and then they're like, oh, great. Nope. Yep. Susie's back. Yeah. I'll chat with you guys later. And then they go out on the floor and then they back up their servers and back up the bussers and, go to the host and greet, like those are some of the greatest managers I've worked for and I've learned from them and taken that into my work.
Yeah.
That's how and that makes a big difference, for when you go into an establishment and you have that. It's effortless where you're like, wow, that was a great dinner. Why was that such a great dinner? And you're like, oh, because they were all working together. I didn't have to think about the service.
Right.
I was served, and that's why I like the business too, is like, I love going out. And sometimes it's tough being in the industry because like I can see everything.
Yeah. All those things that other people can't see.
Yeah. And I see it and I'm like, oh, they're new.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know how to like work it, or they're like, Yeah, it takes time and experience.
Yeah, it's a skill. I mean, you have to build it. When I came out of bartending school, I mean, I guess it's pretty fortunate that I ended up working at a Stewart Anderson's. It was pretty low rent, so I never got clobbered with guests while I was there. My serving was slow. My knowledge of cocktails was not what it is.
Right.
You know, my personability wasn't up to snuff. I remember the thing that messed me up the most was not only the register monitor, the touch screen, biding my time between walk-ups and the printer. I was always either too involved with the walk-ups or what's coming up on the printer. So somebody's eyeballing me funny. So I'm either making the drinks at the service well and neglecting the guests who belly up to the bar, or vice versa.
Right.
You know,
I went from like working at a diner to a fancy wine bar. I was working with the manager, and like food came up, and he's like, "All right, run this to table 52, calamari." And I just like I took it and was like, pew! Like just took off. And the manager was like he's like in a suit jacket, and he's like trying to follow me. He's like, what the hell? Why am I running after this fucking kid? It was like my early 20s. He came back, he was like, dude, you do not need to go that fast. And I'm like, I was used to going like 3 a.m. diner mode. I'm like, I gotta get them their pancakes.
Right.
Gotta get them in, gotta get them out. He's like, no, man. He's like, yo, you know, and he's like dealing with that like level of like anxiety and stress coming to a different type of restaurant and knowing that sort of flow and that type of dynamic and being like, we're not doing heart surgery here, you know, we're just serving food. But if you serve it well and with style, it can be very effective. Bringing in those little touches where it's like, right, you're serving from a certain side, you're like you're cleaning up a little crumbs off their table, you know, you're keeping their waters filled. Like you do those little touches, and not saying like a non-fine dining job, but if you do that in every service industry place, it makes people feel special, and then they'll maybe tip you more or want to come back to specifically you. They come back to see you.
Yeah.
And the food and stuff, and they like the atmosphere. But that's something that's kind of crazy. It's like working from down south versus working on the West Coast. I still try to get my mind around it, but just like the hourly is crazy. I mean, I was working down in Atlanta and making $2 an hour because you get tips. Right?
But that's federal minimum wage then, right?
No, the federal is like $7. Because we make tips, the restaurants don't have to pay you that.
Wow.
I was making $2 an hour, and then I'd get tips, right? Versus where I'm at on the West Coast right now, it's like I'm making 16 something an hour, and then I get tips. There's those two sides of the spectrum are like, that's not right, in my opinion. You know, some people like don't believe in tipping, you know, whatever. And like, but like now it's sort of like, well, if you're in the South or you're in that place getting those tips, I don't get a paycheck unless those people are tipping me. And 2, I'm getting taxed on those tips. You tip me 20%, I'm probably only getting 15% because if I have to tip out a bartender and I have to tip out a support staff and then I'm getting taxed on that, I might be getting 10% off of a 20% tip. That's nuts. Just to, like, you know, you can say like, oh yeah, cost of living is cheaper versus certain places and stuff, but to put that pressure then on you as the server and then as the guest, I just paid to serve you.
I paid you to be here.
And versus in a place where I might be making hourly. So if they don't tip me as much, I'm like, I can at least be like, okay. On both ends of that spectrum, I try to go above and beyond to have that level of service because I'm like, I should have this level of service because I'm getting paid this an hourly, and I want to give you that type of service to get that tip. And on this end, I need to give this level of service in order to get tips to be able to survive. It's crazy.
I didn't know the hourly was that low out here.
Some restaurants do the like, we'll give you $5-6 an hour, and then that's incentive to, maybe more bigger kind of corporate-y type of restaurants. But, on the other end of the spectrum too, you got smaller mom and pop restaurants on the West Coast who can't afford to pay that type of hourly to all their employees.
Right.
A whole kitchen and front of the house, that's a lot of overhead. There's a lot of fluctuation, I think, even since COVID, and that year kind of changed a lot of the restaurant world and a lot of guests going out and expectations of service and over-serving, underserving. Some people just love it and the connection. Some people don't really want you there. Before COVID, it was everything was busy, packed.
Oh yeah,
throwing money around, cash. Talk about just cash.
Yeah, it was like the 80s all over again.
Cash just kind of disappeared from a lot of restaurants. I go to so many places now where they're like, "Oh, we don't take cash anymore."
Yeah, I don't see how that's legal, but I mean, I understand that it means that they don't have change, but this is legal tender for all debts, public and private. It says on there. Yeah, money's probably the dirtiest thing that's out in public, probably dirtier than doorknobs.
I've heard some people use it's for safety and our employees, we decided to go cashless. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I don't see how cash became how it's legal for you to not accept cash, but it's not enough for me to argue about either.
No, it's like, can't you just scan my head? Can I just pay you with my new Neuralink?
Yeah, we'll have a little microchip in here.
Yeah,
soon, recording everything.
Well, it's like we have at the grocery store. You can pay with your palm now.
Oh my gosh!
Have you seen that?
Oh no!
It's crazy.
Like with your hand print, or is there something?
It's like your palm. It's like it's like a grocery store. I'm not sure if it's like an Amazon thing or something, but you scan all your stuff and you put your palm over it, and your palm has it's connected to your account or whatever, and it can just charge you.
So it's like a fingerprint.
Yeah.
That's got, Philip K. Dick all over it. It's just like that's the new Blade Runner kind of thing.
Right. Right. Terrifying.
Have you ever had to chase anybody out of the restaurant?
I've had to do that once. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, I have had to chase one person out, and it was at that diner when I chased him out, and I was like, dude, really? You really just going to run out? And he's like, I'm sorry.
You're like, oh.
Yeah, and then he gave me his card, and I ran it. I had E40 came into the bar.
Yeah.
And he sat at the bar, and he got a salad or something, or soup. He got a super salad, and you offer pepper. So I came out and I was like, would you like some fresh ground cracked pepper? And he's like, yeah, sure. And I go, tell me when to stop. Tell me when to stop. Tell me when to stop. And he just looked at me, and I was like, all right, bad joke. I'm sorry. It's just like,
oh, he didn't let you off the hook or anything?
No, he was like, he kind of smirked a little bit, but I was like, if y'all don't know, he has a good song called Tell Me When to Go. Okay.
Yeah. I had to chase these 3 guys out of the bar once. They finished up and they went outside. They were saying goodbye to each other. And I come walking out there. I was like, you guys forget something? Guy goes, what? We tipped you. And I look at him, and I look at guy number 2, and I look at guy number 3. Hold up a pair of sunglasses. Guys go, oh! I said, sorry, man. I got to have a good time too. And went running back inside.
That's great.
But I haven't had to chase anybody out. There was one couple who had 1 round of drinks, and then they just walked out. I mean, they barely touched their drinks. And I went outside to talk to the guy, and he was waiting for his car. He had a thick accent, and he said, no, we're leaving, and this is terrible, and I don't want to talk to you no more. I said, oh my God, did someone say something? What happened? Did your server say something? Did I do something wrong? He goes, no, you didn't do anything wrong. I think they had a fight or something and decided to leave,
Yeah.
But, so they walked out without paying for their drinks, which they barely touched anyway. So I don't think it was like a dine and dash kind of situation.
Sure. I mean, everybody's going through something, man.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I went and told the manager, and, he goes, yeah, all right. The date went south.
Yep, I've seen plenty of those.
Or somebody just gets liquored up and just embarrassing the hell out of the other person, or getting stood up. I see people get stood up a lot.
I've done that. Like, yeah, that round of drinks is on us, buddy. We got that one for
Mm-hmm.
you.
And the guy's like, yes. And then he goes to another bar and does the same
The
shit.
same thing. Yeah. Working the system.
That's right. All right. Well, Christopher
man.
Morrison, I had a blast talking with you. I hope everybody got a whole lot of insight on all the facets of restaurant work, from tossing dough in a pizza kitchen to managing bars and restaurants, and all of this about minimum wage. That was a new one on me. So what do you think, if you're earning that base minimum wage, I mean, you think at least 20% in order for any server to cover their head on that? Or I guess just depends on what the sales are.
Yeah. I mean, when I was down there, that's what I was shooting for most of the time, was like 20% per tab, which I normally hit. I think you definitely have to give that service more in those type of environments.
Right.
You know, like, and I feel like right on the other end where I'm working now, people can kind of just be like, whatever. I don't really care if I make 15% or whatever. I'm still getting my hourly, but it's like, no, man, like, give good service, have that standard, I think, for yourself. And so you can make good money. And there's a reason why there's people in this industry, you know, people want to be served by people. If everything wants to be robotic and stuff, and our industry is going to be dead, which I don't think would happen. You know, it's theater. Theater's been around forever. And this is it's a form of that, right? It's live and it's people. It's like, you want to go to a restaurant and clank it on your phone and order your food, and some robot with a wheel rolls out and drops it off on your table, and you know, you check yourself in and you scan it and you don't talk to anybody. If that's the future that you want, then I think there'll be places like that. But there's a point of why you go out and you pay for service and you tip. And you can tip if your service was a dick and they sucked, and you know, but also people have tough days. You know,
there's a percentage of human that will always need interpersonal communication and interaction. You know, some people are just introverts and would rather punch a touch screen.
Right.
But I don't think that the human to human thing is going to go away. You know, I mean, bartenders are still part therapist.
100%.
Somebody to shoot the shit with. And a lot of times we are a relief to loneliness. You're not going to get that from a computer screen. Well, everybody, that was my good pal, Christopher Morrison, multifaceted, multi-talented, and a veteran in the food service industry. I hope you enjoyed yourself. This is B. Frank signing off from Servitude Tales from the Weeds. And remember, always tip at the very least 15%.